Hey guys, this is breaking news right now. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you like this breaking news content coming right at you. I need some help with the tubes, y'all. Hey, check it out. Alec Baldwin, here's a blast from the past. Maybe a misuse of the words there. I apologize. But anyway, Alec Baldwin to be charged with involuntary manslaughter in the Rust is the name of the movie he was in, film shooting. If you remember this, it happened a while back. He was given a firearm for the scene. The woman who was the cinematographer was standing in front of him and had a camera on her chest. He pointed the firearm at her, pulled the trigger. There happened to be a live round in the firearm, and she perished. Uh, we've covered the police interview with him, and now we're gonna be there are charges brought, and when we get the actual charges, we'll cover that too. So anyway, let's read through this, and then I'll go over some of the stuff, some of the terms with you real quick. Put that law school education to work. Thanks, Mom. Alec Baldwin and armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed will each be charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the 2021 fatal shooting on the New Mexico set of the film Rust, officials said Thursday. Remember, this is in New Mexico. Santa Fe First Judicial District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwise and Special Prosecutor Andrea Reeb announced their decision Thursday morning in a written statement shared with media. First Assistant Director David Hall has already agreed to plead guilty for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. We'll discuss what negligence is here in a second, but negligent use of a deadly weapon means that you don't realize that what you're not using it in the way that it's meant to be used. You don't realize it. It's like you can use a firearm as a hammer, but it's negligent for you to do that if you just pick up and go, oh, hey, here, and just like, act like that's your hammer. It's a very thin line between negligence and reckless. And we'll cover both of those here in a second. After a thorough review of the evidence and the laws of the state of New Mexico, I have determined that there is sufficient evidence to file criminal charges against Alec Baldwin and other members of the Rust film crew. Carmack Altwise said in a statement, on my watch, no one is above the law and everyone deserves justice. I can hear Alec Baldwin say right now, what about justice for me? I'm the victim. He kind of led to that in the police interview, that he had no idea what was happening. In a statement, Baldwin's lawyer Luke Nichols wrote, this decision distorts Helena Hutchins' tragic death and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe that there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. There's not supposed to be. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges and we will win. So yeah, he relied on the professionals whom he worked with. He's already saying it's not his fault, which that's a defense. He didn't know. And I mean, if you were in that same situation, you'd probably be using the same defense. Let's see what the prison sentence is on the charges. McCormick Altwise's office said in October she would conduct a thorough review of the information and evidence to make a thoughtful, timely decision about whether to bring charges following a year-long sheriff's investigation into the on-set shooting. Hutchins was working as a cinematographer on the Western when she was shot and killed by the film star Baldwin during an accident while he was practicing using a Colt 45 revolver on set. Colt 45 is malt liquor, y'all. Colt is a firearm. The 45 designation in this stands for 45 long Colt. It's a period round. It's like around like 1887 when it was developed. It was the official sidearm of the United States Cavalry. No charges will be filed in the shooting of Suarez. What? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Director Joel Swaza was also injured in the shooting. No charge. He had a heart attack, didn't he? No charge will be filed in the shooting of Swaza, the office said. Carmack, Altwise, and Reeve will formally file charges before the end of the month, at which point each defendant will be issued a summons for their first court appearance, which can be done virtually or waived, prosecutors said. During a preliminary hearing, a judge will decide whether there is probable cause to move forward with a trial. Remember, this is New Mexico. It's a lot like the Idaho case where there's a preliminary hearing there too. Western states are a little bit different than Eastern states in the way they do it. Like here, or in the East, where I am, we have grand juries. In the West, you have preliminary hearings. Just like radio and TV stations start with a K once you get past the Mississippi River, and they start with a W on the east of the Mississippi River, the laws change as well. It's less of a common law atmosphere. A lot of these laws go back to Napoleonic and go back to Spain. Preliminary hearings are typically scheduled within 60 days of charges being filed, according to the district attorney's office. Should the case go to trial, a jury would have to decide under which definition of involuntary manslaughter Baldwin and Cortez-Reed were guilty. For the first count of involuntary manslaughter, prosecutors must prove underlying negligence, while the second count, involuntary manslaughter on the commission of a lawful act, requires proof that there is more than simple negligence involved in the death. That's a very I don't know how the district attorney's office said. I did a quick search on the statute, and I was not prepared for the interpretation like this. Both counts are fourth-degree felonies, punishable up to 18 months in jail. However, a firearm enhancement on the second charge could carry a mandatory sentence of 5 years in prison. What was the second charge? I thought it was just involuntary manslaughter. Cold gun. Swaza reportedly told investigators that Baldwin was sitting in a pew with his pew in the area's church, practicing his cross draw, facing the camera and crew, and pointing the revolver towards the camera lens when the shooting occurred, according to a search warrant affidavit. Halls had handed the gun to Baldwin while proclaiming cold gun to let the crew know a gun with no live rounds was being used. I mean, like, according to their unions and all stuff, there's not supposed to be any live ammunition on set. Hutchinson was killed by a live round inside the gun, authorities say. Questions have surrounded how live ammunition made into the set and into a prop gun, and whether proper safety precautions were taken by crew members. Also, that's where your negligence is going to come in with Baldwin, because ultimately, was he negligent by putting his finger on the trigger? Was he negligent by not checking to make sure the gun was unloaded? Remember, everybody, all firearms are always loaded. If you ever see a firearm, if you ever pick up your firearm, you carry your firearm, you always consider it loaded and always check it. And that means take out a magazine and pull back the slide, look down the chamber. If it's a revolver, that means to look at each chamber in the revolver to make sure that there are no live rounds or spent rounds either, for that matter, in the firearm. The attorney for Rust Armor, I can't read. Oh, it's Reed, too. Who is in charge of guns and ammunition on the set, has previously said that his client had no idea there are live rounds, where the live rounds came from, and was not in the church where the rehearsal was taking place. Her attorney, Jason Bowles, has alleged that Cortez Reed was not called inside the church to inspect the weapon before they were brought out, and that Baldwin did not accept her offer to train him on the crossdraw, a dangerous method of carrying a handgun that started in the Old West. What? What draws the conclusion that that's a dangerous method of carrying a handgun that started in the Old West? What does that have to do with this story? It has nothing. With the danger comes from pointing a firearm at somebody, and as this picture shows, look, there's Baldwin, the woman that is has who he is going to be going to trial for killing is the one who took this picture. There is his finger on the trigger, the firearm pointed at her. Nothing to do with the cross draw. That it doesn't matter if he pulled the gun out from underneath his hat. Jeez. If any of these three people, Alec Baldwin, Hannah Cortez Reed, or David Halls, had done their job, Hayla Hutchinson would be alive today. It's that simple, Reeb said in a statement. The evidence clearly shows a pattern of criminal disregard for safety on the Rust film set. That tells me that they're going for a reckless claim. There's reckless and negligence are very close together. Yeah, I really need to break down the whole thing with criminal law. I'm not prepared to right now, and I apologize because I don't want to get it wrong, and I will off the top of my head. I'm prepared to talk about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. A longtime Hollywood armorer, Thel Reed, the father of Cortez Reed, reportedly told investigators that ammunition once in his possession may match the ammunition found on the set of Rust, according to an affidavit for a search warrant executed last year. The warrant authorized the search of an Albuquerque prop house, PDQ Arm and Prop LLC, owned by Seth Kinney. Kinney reportedly told detectives that he was hired to supply Rust with guns as well as dummy rounds and blanks, according to the search warrant affidavit. Reed told investigators that he worked with Kinney on a set several weeks before the Rust shooting occurred and that Kinney allegedly took an ammo can containing live rounds back with him to New Mexico, according to the affidavit. Wow. So there you have your connection. Kinney has denied providing live ammunition to the set. It's not a possibility that they came from PDQ or from myself personally, Kinney told ABC News days after the shooting. We send dummy rounds out. They get individually rattle tested before they get sent out. Well, that's going to sound good to a jury. They were rattle tested. Baldwin thought charges were highly unlikely. Baldwin previously said he didn't believe he would face any criminal charges in the accident. I've been told by people who are in the know, in terms of even inside the state, that's highly unlikely that I'd be charged with anything criminally, he told ABC News' George Stephanopoulos in an interview weeks after the shooting. The district attorney's announcement comes after the family of Hutchinson reached a settlement in its wrongful death lawsuit against the film's producers, including Baldwin and Rust Movie Productions, LLC, in October. The settlement would have no impact on her decision to file charges. Yeah, it shouldn't. Civil and criminal should never have impacts on each other. The incident was also led to several lawsuits, including one filed by Baldwin alleging negligence of his crew members. Rust is slated to resume filming in January with all the principal actors and Swaza back as director. It's unclear if the pending charges will affect production. Okay, so Baldwin has been is going to be arrested. It looks like has to go court. This is some stuff I got for New Mexico because I don't know anything about New Mexico. So I'm like, okay, I got to go back. You got to start thinking like I'm in school again, right? You got to start thinking like a partner for a firm came in and presented this as a facts for a case that we have, and we have to, what are the definitions? What are we looking at here? Punishment for negligence in New Mexico. It's okay. The negligence law. This is what I wanted. Sorry, I forgot to edit that out. I redid this, man, too. As per the negligence law in New Mexico. So you can either be negligent or reckless for what happened for involuntary manslaughter. Okay, voluntary manslaughter would be, I want you to think of heat of passion. You're in an argument. You walk in. Heat of passion is very commonly described as you walk in and your spouse is having an affair with somebody else, and you've lost all senses and pull out your firearm and eliminate both of them. Okay, that's your extreme. That's your heat of passion. You are criminally charged. You're not. That is not considered. Uh, you will not get like a death penalty on that. You will not get life imprisonment for that. That is reserved for intentional manslaughter, intentional killing of another. That's first degree murder. Um, anyway, so what I want to get to here, though, is your negligence. Negligence law in New Mexico. If you have caused the death of another person due to your negligence, you're guilty of criminal negligence, right? Criminal negligence means you failed to perceive the considerable risk. So that's just like, oh, that was dangerous. Think of like, uh, cartoons where like Wile E. Coyote is such a perfect example. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but it's like Wile E. Coyote didn't think the TNT, the dynamite, will blow up in his face. Okay, I mean that's negligent, possibly. But anyway, you failed to perceive a considerable risk, and your actions or inaction would result in another's death. Now, see, that's unique in New Mexico. Not all places have. You don't owe a duty to anybody. Some states, yeah, you do. If you see someone's getting ready to die, you got to try to save them. Some states, like, no, you don't. There's no duty whatsoever. Unless you cause the factors that are getting ready to possibly cause somebody's death, unless you're responsible for that, you owe no duty. The death caused by criminal negligence is called involuntary manslaughter. Involuntary negligence and also reckless is the other one in the statute. Let's see here. So reckless, I want to go over this. Reckless is carelessly and heedlessly and willful or wanton disregard of the rights or safeties of others. So speeding, that's reckless. It's if you have a firearm, like an old cowboy type firearm, say like this 45 long Colt, the Peacemaker, that sort of as it was affectionately nicknamed, that Alec Baldwin had. If you know it's full of live rounds and you're twirling it around on your finger, I think that would be an example of reckless. Get into that mindset where you can separate reckless from negligence. Reckless means that you know what you're doing is dangerous, but you do it anyway. Negligence is like, I never thought that was wrong. I never thought anything would happen. I never thought that, I don't know, jumping out and trying to scare my 99-year-old grandmother would cause her to have a heart attack. Well, it might cause her to have a heart attack. Other people might think they are, and that you're being negligent, not taking into the fact that it is your 99-year-old grandmother. All these are questions for juries, okay? And I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm not giving you any legal instruction. I don't know the law. I know nothing. I know less than the law. My law degree tells me that I'm an idiot and that I should have taken up basket weaving and yoga. I should be a yoga instructor right now on some tropical beach, but instead I'm sitting here behind a microphone talking to y'all, having a good time. And all this is just for entertainment purposes. But anyway, yeah, so involuntary, that's the difference between reckless and negligence. Your disregard for the rights of others and without due caution and circumspection and in the manner so as to endanger or be likely to endanger any person or property is reckless. And then involuntary manslaughter is the unintentional killing of a person while committing a misdemeanor criminal offense. Involuntary manslaughter can also occur if a person is engaging in a lawful act but unintentionally kills someone by being negligent or not exercising due care. Involuntary manslaughter is classified. This is New Mexico's um, treatises on this. A fourth degree felony with sentencing up to 18 months in prison and probation. I think there's a $5,000 fine too, which seems a little low. But anyway, yeah. So involuntary manslaughter is reckless or negligent. Negligent will be the least culpable of the ways to get a conviction. I don't know how New Mexico works, how their the rules of court are. I don't know if you can try to get a charge on reckless, and if you don't get reckless, if whether the jury can decide, well, no, it's not reckless, it's negligent, or if the jury has to, the jury says no, it's not reckless, and you didn't argue negligence, it's thrown out. Anyway, that's what's happening. That's the future of Alec Baldwin. I get the actual documents. We'll go over those. Just want to give you guys a little heads up, a little what to think about, something to whet your appetite. And guys, be safe out there. If you're going to the shooting range, don't Alec Baldwin. Don't be like him. Other than that, Godspeed, everybody. I'll be seeing you soon. Okay.